Hello, I'm Lori Steiner, sitting in for Armin Budish. Welcome to Golden Opportunities.
Today, has an injury or illness kept you from being in the driver's seat? We'll steer you to tips that can tune up your time behind the wheel. Then, everything old is new again. We'll investigate the value of your vintage items. We'll determine your dental health during each decade of your life. Plus, are women at more risk for Alzheimer's than men? We'll study the statistics. And we'll reveal how too little debt may be as harmful as too much debt.
It's time to get geoing, so pull up a chair and join us at our kitchen table for Golden Opportunities. Let's face it, for many of us, the keys to our car are the keys to freedom. But what if an illness or impairment has detoured our driving? Are there directions we can follow to get back on the road? Mike Fliss is here to map out our options. Mike is an occupational therapist and certified driver rehabilitation specialist with the Driver Rehabilitation Program at Metro Health Rehabilitation Institute of Ohio. So welcome to the show. Now, usually when we're talking about seniors and driving, we're talking about taking the keys away from a loved one. So is it really a good idea to try to get them back on the road?
Well, sometimes it is. If you think about things like people are living out in the suburbs now, public transportation is not as widespread as it used to be. Sometimes people are still able to drive when things like memory start to go or aging issues. So sometimes it is, with safety being the primary concern.
Okay, so if we can get over the safety issues,
yes.
Maybe some education and things. So when you're mentioning these conditions that people may have that will make it difficult or seemingly impossible to drive, what kind of conditions are we talking about?
Well, we see a lot of people that have had brain injuries, strokes, spinal cord injuries, multiple sclerosis, people that have aging issues, peripheral neuropathy, orthopedic issues, a whole variety of
really
things. Anything that can affect your ability to drive a car safely.
Okay, so you have a program. Tell
Yes.
us a little bit about how the program works.
Well, the program, in order to qualify for the program, you need to have a physician's referral. You have to have a driver's license or a temporary permit. You need to be at least 18 years of age. Have to be seizure-free for a year.
So when you're looking at all of these criteria, you are then also evaluate them as a therapist. Is that correct? So how does that part of it work?
What we look at is we look at their driving history, recent driving history, things like tickets, accidents. We check their vision, their reaction times. We do a cognitive and perceptual screening. And then we actually take them on the road in a hospital vehicle to see how they do on the road with different aspects of vehicle control.
Ooh, kind of like a driving test when you're 16,
Yes.
just starting out.
Yes.
Aren't they very, very nervous about that?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. I mean, most of the time they're seasoned drivers. Some people are new drivers, but generally they've driven for years.
But it's just something that sidelined them from being able to drive that you have to get past. So when you're driving with them and looking at all of their medical history and the doctor's recommendations and things, you're really determining what's wrong and then how to accommodate for that. Correct? So does that also include sometimes modifying the vehicle?
It can. If there's a physical impairment, things like hand controls, modified accelerators, some of the secondary control switches like for turn signals and wipers and things like that can be modified. Sometimes just modifying the switches that are in the vehicle, like if you have arthritis or something like that, can be done.
Okay. Does your health insurance cover the program?
Sometimes it does, sometimes not. It depends on the insurance company, but we can help you find out, whether or not your company will cover it before you.
Might it even pay for the modifications?
Well, not many do.
Okay.
No.
Oh, darn it. You really need it.
Now, if you have a new car, a brand new car, some of the OEM, the original equipment manufacturers, have a rebate program up to $500 or $1,000 for some of the minor modifications.
Oh, okay. So maybe have a new car is a good thing.
Yeah.
All right. This has been really, really good information for us. If an ailment has put a stop sign on your driving, yield to the information Mike has shared. You just might be able to merge back onto the road to recovery. Need more help? Park yourself right where you are as we turn to the number and website that you need for more information. It's coming up next. My thanks to Mike for joining us today.
You're welcome.
To learn more, call Metro Health Rehabilitation Institute of Ohio at 216-778-7750 or visit www.metrohealth.org/driver.rehab. Next, old items are the newest trend. But first, law and order insist we consider the undeniable defense identified as an alibi. But why is alibi the tried and true term that translates to saving a suspect? Here's a hint. Look at the Latin language. We'll solve the case of this legal label when we return.
My husband and I got into the car and we couldn't do it. We couldn't pick one baby over the other. Coming to Metro changed the entire pregnancy. We actually started to become happy with our situation. We owe a big thank you to Metro. I can't imagine our family without Sam.
In Latin, the word alibi means somewhere else, an apt indication that can absolve an accused of committing a crime. If he or she was somewhere else, then their alibi makes them innocent.
You know the saying, everything old is new again? Well, Amber Ashley has made a 28-year career out of that adage. As the owner of Pop & J Accessories, Amber has seen well-loved items from the past become priceless finds in the present. And she's here to advise us on all things vintage. So welcome to the show.
Thank you, Lori.
We all have that lifetime of stuff sitting in a drawer in a closet or something, and especially true of seniors. So, is that mostly where you find like these items that you've brought here today with you?
Yeah, yes it is. It's, you know, seniors find themselves at a point in their life where they need to downsize, and whether with necessity or just by choice, and they have all this stuff, and they have all this wonderful stuff like these you know, vintage hats and vintage jewelry, clothing, textiles, and it was precious to them and they don't want to throw it out. And many times they've called their children, their grandchildren, their family members, and no one wants these things.
Okay.
So they say, what do we do with it?
That's where you come in.
That's where I come in. And they call me, and I have a whole want it sheet that I send to them of everything I buy, and I make an appointment, and we get together and buy these things from them. And they really enjoy earning the extra cash for things that they haven't used for years.
Right.
So that's fun. And
But, I mean, if the kids and grandkids don't want them, how do you find somebody who actually wants them?
well, I travel throughout the country finding people that love these things, but it is true that some people don't want these. But I sell to fashion designers and stylists. I sell to all kinds of people. The youth market is great. They're very excited about wearing the stuff. They kind of go by my slogan, go green, wear vintage, and they enjoy it and have fun. I have artisans that use the old jewelry and incorporate it into their designs, and then they go and sell it at art shows or online. And I have fashion students that get inspiration from the vintage clothing, and they also use the patterns.
Okay, and
from
you
it.
said go green, wear vintage.
Yes.
In fact, you have a
I
green
am.
vintage dress on
I
today,
do.
right?
I do, from the 60s, and that is, you know, I do love saving these things from the landfill so that, you know, people can enjoy them a lot longer.
And you have a story about a fashion student, in fact,
Yes.
that you worked with.
It's one of my favorite stories. I had purchased this Civil War era tux jacket that a little mouse had got to and ate off the shoulder, and I had it at a Burton Antique Show, and this young man came up and was looking at it and studying it, and he said, how much is this jacket? And I said, are you a fashion student? He said, yes, and I said, $5. And he goes, he was so excited. He goes, okay, I need to get the money, and he called his friends. They brought him the $5. All day long, he thanked me. A year later, this gentleman came into my booth at a Springfield show and said, did you sell that tux jacket to my son? And I thought I was in trouble. And I said, yes, I did. He said, thank you very much. He's made 3 jackets from that one pattern.
Wow.
So that made me feel great. I didn't throw that away, and the lady didn't throw it away, and it found a home, and great things were made from it.
Yeah.
So,
Now, you deal mostly in fabrics, accessories, jewelry, that kind of thing?
Yes.
What if somebody comes to you with a house full of other kinds of things that they want to get rid of?
That's great. I have wonderful resources. I've been doing this so long. I have great people I know in the business and resources I can pass along to my customers for other people that will buy these things that I don't purchase or that I can't accommodate. But my most enjoyable part about doing this is I love working with the seniors. I love finding good homes for the things that they loved and that were precious to them. And they give back to me by telling me they appreciate my service.
And probably stories about each of the items, too.
Oh, absolutely. I love hearing their stories and when they wore it and how it was worn and used and how they loved it. It
All right.
makes me happy.
This is very interesting
Thank you.
for us
Thanks
today.
so much.
So your old objects could have new value, which means money for you. To help your vintage items find new vitality, give Amber a call. Her information is coming up next.
For more information about Popinjay accessories, call Amber Ashley at 330-581-1231 or email her at aashley@neo.rr.com. Next, do your teeth tell your age? Looking for places to go, things to do? Welcome to our community calendar. Get the information you need about Social Security at one of 4 free area seminars presented by the law offices of Budish, Solomon, Steiner, and Peck. The dates are Monday, June 23rd at 2 p.m. at the law offices in Beechwood, and that night at 7 p.m. at the Holiday Inn Cleveland South in Independence. Wednesday, June 25th at 7 p.m. at the Middleburg Heights Community Center, and Thursday, June 26th at 2 p.m. at the Rocky River Recreation Center. To reserve your space, call 216-246-0185 or log on to www.bssplaw.com.
Have teeth troubles? It may be due to your dental decade. Dentist Steve Marsh is here to identify the issues that are arising depending upon our age and to offer advice on how boomers and beyond can bring back a beautiful smile. So welcome again to the show.
Thanks, Lori. It's a
First, we're
pleasure.
going to focus on the 50s, right?
Right, and we're talking about people in the 50s who were born in the 60s. You may be one of those people. I don't want to allude to that. But one of the issues that people born who are now in their 5th decade of life, those are people who we were just getting fluoridation in. So most of those people have had a lot of decay. Again, they were born in the 60s. They may have had silver fillings. We didn't have tooth-colored fillings. In fact, they didn't come in until I was in dental school in the 70s.
Okay.
So they may have had a lot of silver fillings. The teeth over time, again, they've been in there 40 or 50 years. They're starting to break down. So that's what people in their 50s suffer from. And I might add, Lori, that one of the issues we're having today in dentistry is that people aren't drinking fluoridated water. They drink bottled water and that sort of thing. So we're seeing, again, an upsurge in decay, just like people who were born in their 60s, unfortunately. So that's just an aside, an important one.
But those people in their 50s have 30 more years yet to live, probably. So what should they be doing?
So when those teeth start to break down or those silver fillings start to break down, that's a good time to have them replaced. And today you can do them with composites. They're very conservative, they look good, and they function very well. And they need regular care every 4 to 6 months.
Okay. Do you have an example of some of this?
Yeah, so we have some
50s?
pictures of that. One of the other things that happens over time is people's teeth chip. And this is a patient of mine in her 50s, and she said, Steve, I had braces as a kid. They've shifted quite a bit. What can we do? And I said, it's very easy to just do some reshaping on the upper and lower to give her a better bite. And by the way, Lori, by not only making those teeth look better by doing some contouring, they're also less likely to chip. So that's for somebody in their 50s.
Okay, so the next decade, people now in their 60s. They were
60s.
born, obviously, 10 years earlier, so what problems are they facing?
Right, and I'm a part of that group. My dad was my dentist and had put silver fillings in. I also had some areas of decay. And as I got older, they started to break down, though we did a marvelous job. We took them out and they were replaced with tooth-colored fillings. Again, a very conservative way to approach it. This is a patient who had had a silver filling. This is very typical of somebody in their 50s and 60s where the silver filling starts to move away, and you can also see a little fracture in that tooth. So today, again, conservatively, we take the filling out and we put a tooth-colored filling that not only fills the hole and brings it together. And another patient of mine in her 60s, and she had had some crowns and bridges over the years. She had lost some teeth. And you'll also notice if your viewers, and we're looking right in the patient's mouth, looking up at those front teeth, they started to spread as she had gotten older. She had a silver filling or two, so we took those out. She wanted them whiter and brighter and wanted those spaces closed. So today, with porcelain veneers on somebody 60 and some all porcelain crowns and bridges, we gave her a beautiful smile, took away the decay, and brought her back to modern times, if you will.
All right. Well, now we're moving into the later decades, people in maybe their 70s and 80s.
Yeah, so I can tell you, Lori, that both my sisters and my brother are in their 70s, and my dad was their dentist, just like he was mine, fortunately, and they had a lot of gold work done. Gold was still a marvelous restorative material.
That was the standard back then?
Standard in some cases, especially if your father was doing the dentistry.
Of course.
But also a lot of big silver fillings, and so over time they may have lost teeth or broken down due to decay. It could be gum disease, periodontal disease. And sometimes we talked about shifting. They've really shifted, and this is a patient of mine who spends half the year in Florida and spends half in Cleveland. And we talked about how do we restore those lower ones, and she had talked about braces. She was in her 70s, so we actually reshaped those and did porcelain veneers on the front, top, and back. And you can also see, talk about 70, so her teeth had been there 60 years or more, and she had brushed very hard. She had taken away a lot of the enamel. They look almost translucent.
Right.
So we built those up with porcelain veneers. And here's a gentleman who came to me in his 80s. His son brought him in. He was actually a farmer. His wife had passed away, and he said, I want to have my own teeth again. He had worn a partial, so we did a permanent bridge and gave him the work that he wanted. Nothing came in or out. We restored the teeth. So even in your 80s, he was thrilled with the work, and his son said, Dad, I'm thrilled for you. And it was really a heartwarming, gratifying story for us.
That's fantastic. So, are your teeth now looking and feeling their age? No matter what your dental decade, Steve can help turn back time by transferring your teeth and sprucing up your smile. To learn more, give him a call. His number is next.
See what Dr. Stephen Marsh can do for your smile by calling 440-461-1003 or visit www.clevelandsmiles.com. Next, the frightening facts about the onset of Alzheimer's. It's time to get up and go, an exercise minute on golden opportunities.
Hello everybody, it's Mike Carbon from Breakout Fitness, and today we're going to show you how to do a basic body squat using our exercise bands. You ready to go?
Let's squat.
Let's do it. All right, we're going to start by standing on the center of the band. You want to make sure the band's even between both feet. All we're going to do here is we have a chair behind us just to kind of give us a guideline of how low we're going. So we're going to go ahead, squat down till our backside touches the chair, and then simply stand up. The resistance of the band is going to make it a little harder and help you work on them legs. How you feeling?
Oh, feels good.
Excellent. Now we're looking for 12 to 15 repetitions here and at least 2 to 3 sets to build your legs. Doing good.
All right.
All right. All right, everybody. Now it's your turn to get up and go.
For your copy of the exercise booklet, please send $1 for postage to Golden Opportunities, 23240 Chagrin Boulevard, Suite 450, Beechwood, Ohio, 44122.
As our population continues to age, it's not surprising that the number of cases of Alzheimer's disease continues to rise. In fact, every 67 seconds, someone develops Alzheimer's. But what may surprise you more is that women are at the epicenter of the Alzheimer's epidemic. Nancy Udelson, President and CEO of the Cleveland area chapter of the Alzheimer's Association, is here to help us face several facts about this debilitating form of dementia. So welcome to the show.
Thanks, Lori.
And I know the role of caregiver often falls to women when there's an issue in the family. Is that what you mean by the women kind of being the center of things with the disease?
It's a couple things. First of all, women are 2.5 times more likely to be caring full-time for someone in the late stages of Alzheimer's disease. And the recent data shows that of all caregivers, unpaid caregivers, 63% of them are women as well. But that's not the only reason women are at the center of this Alzheimer's epidemic. They're also more likely to develop the disease.
And why is that?
Why is that? Actually, we have found that of the 5 million Americans, around 2/3 of them are women. So over the age of 71, we find that 2/3 of the cases of Alzheimer's are women, which means that there are...
Is that just because they're getting older?
It is because they're
They
getting
last
older.
longer?
Absolutely. It's not because of anything genetic, because they're women. It's because they do tend to live longer. So by virtue of that, they're reaching an age of higher risk of the disease.
Okay, so not only are they caregiving, they're suffering.
Absolutely.
Oh, man. So when when women are providing the disease, and then they're caregivers, and then they are having the disease, how does the Alzheimer's Association really help?
Well, we're here to provide lots of information and support for not only the caregiver but the entire family that can also be a caregiving support. So we have a 24-hour helpline that people can call with any of their questions about Alzheimer's or another type of dementia. We have free care consultation. We have over 30 support groups across Northeast Ohio, as well as community education programs that go on all of the time. We also provide information about very important clinical studies that are being held, and we have a list of other resources for people to use in the community.
Kind of one-stop shopping, huh?
We hope so.
Is there anything that the general public can do to help?
Absolutely. We ask that people walk with us, and we have 3 walks that are coming up in September. The first one is September 14th at the Holden Arboretum. The second one is really our biggest walk, September 21st. We're going back to the Cleveland Metro Park Zoo after many years downtown. And September 28th, we'll be out at the All-Pro Freight Stadium in Avon.
Okay, excellent. Also, be an advocate, right?
Be an advocate. We need as many people as we can to be contacting their legislators, especially at the federal level, to ask for more money for research.
All right. This is great information for a lot of people who are suffering out there. So, while the statistics can be overwhelming, there's only one number that can mean the most to you, and that's the one older woman in your life who may be facing the stress of Alzheimer's through caregiving or diagnosis. Whether it's your mom, wife, sister, aunt, or mother-in-law, there is help. Use the information that's coming up next to reach out to the Cleveland area chapter of the Alzheimer's Association. My thanks to Nancy Udelson for joining us today.
You're welcome.
Learn more by contacting the Cleveland chapter of the Alzheimer's Association at 1-800-272-3900 or log on to www.alz.org/Cleveland. Next, don't get hurt by too little debt.
Hilltop Village Apartments is retirement living at its best. Residents enjoy a wide variety of activities and living services with all large first-floor apartments, private screened-in patios with beautiful park views, daily dining room meals, free laundry facilities, 24-hour staff, and so much more. Enjoy safe, comfortable independence at a very affordable price. Call today for a tour and learn how you can get your first month's rent free. Hilltop Village Apartments, retirement living at its best.
Did you miss a phone number or website? Then here's your second chance, because we're going to list all of that information again. Then we'll be back to tell you how to score big points with just a little credit. Many older people hate debt, give up their credit cards, and are very proud when they can burn their mortgage papers. But while too much debt is bad, too little debt can be bad too. Here to explain is my law partner and regular guest, who we're always indebted to for his good advice, Mike Solomon.
Hello.
Hello. So, is it true if I have little or no debt that, doesn't that mean I'm going to have a high credit score?
Well, not necessarily. You know, the credit score, you know, is used by businesses to determine many times if they're going to deal with you. And if you, a credit score is based upon how many creditors you have, how much you owe, how quickly you pay bills, and if you've ever had a bankruptcy. If you don't have any of those things, you might not have a credit score.
Ooh, so no debt is actually bad.
That's right, because if you have nothing, then your credit rating will disappear. And then and you need a credit score many times if you're renting an apartment, or you might be getting a cell phone or cable, or many insurance companies, auto and insurance, for example, might give you a discount if you have a good credit score. If you don't have a credit score, you can't get the discount.
Oh my. So what if I had loans or credit cards in the past? I mean, a lot of people have had that.
Well, and you would think that if once you have a credit score, you always have them, and it doesn't work that way. So, for example, if you haven't had any loan activity or credit card activity in the last 6 months, your credit score could disappear. So you would have zero, nothing at that point if they looked you up.
My goodness, only after 6 months? Wow.
Yes.
So how many loans or credit cards should I have to make sure I have a credit score and that it's good?
Well, you don't need that much. Maybe one credit card, do a few purchases on it once a month. Obviously pay the credit when it's due, and you should be okay. You don't need a lot of activity to develop a credit score.
Okay, but it's really credit cards and loans. It's not necessarily having the cable in your name or your phone or and things like that.
As a matter of fact, if you get a credit card, you say, okay, I'll go out and get a credit card, and then you throw it in the drawer and you never use it. That's not going to help. So you need to have the credit and pay the bills on time.
Actually use the credit.
That's right.
And always pay your bills on time, right?
That's right.
All right. That sounds like good advice. So when we talk about credit problems, we often focus on people with too much debt, but having too little credit can be a problem too. Follow Mike's advice. Get a credit card, use it a couple times a month, and pay your bills as they come in. That should protect you against the problems of having no credit score.
Call Budish, Solomon, Steiner, and Peck at 1-888-236-5173 for more information or to schedule a speaker for your organization. Or log on to www.bssplaw.com.
Thanks for joining us. On next week's show, did you miss the deadline for health care coverage? We'll mark the calendar for your next chance. Outliving your income is an unwelcome worry. We'll offer advice that pays off. Then we'll peer into possible problems of your aging eyes. Plus, start your engines. We'll put you in the driver's seat of an exciting automobile exhibit. But until then, please remember to make the most of your golden opportunities.
Would you like to join our kitchen conversation? All you have to do is call toll-free 1-877-765-1543 and leave us your question, name, and phone number. Or log on to www.golden.tv for all the latest information and show updates.